How is everybody doing today? All right. My name is Bennett Newsome. I'm the Esports strategist here at Full Sail University. Thank you guys for being here. And I'm super excited for this panel today. We're kind of going across the board of different areas and of careers in the esports industry. But let's bring our panelists out. Joining me on stage first is Matt Burns Potthoff. Welcome, sir. Welcome. Up next, we have Zoe Monday. Followed up with Justin Burnham. And last but not least, Chantoni Grant. Welcome. Well, we're all excited to have you guys here. Thank you for coming and being part of this panel. The esports industry is always growing, and a lot of times we hear from students that I don't know what to do. I only want to, play games, and I work in this industry, but I don't know where. And there are so many opportunities and so many different career paths that most people just don't think about. So I feel like we have a really well-versed panel here today to talk about a ton of different things. But why don't we go ahead and let you guys introduce yourself. Tony, why don't you start us off, and we'll just come back this way.
Hello, everyone. My name is Chantoni Grant, a.k.a. Too Toxic Tony, and I'm the Director of Esports at North Carolina Wesleyan College.
Justin Burnham, Senior Vice President at SubNation, and I'm crazy enough to actually have 2 full-time gigs. So I'm also a Portfolio Director at Good Shepherd Entertainment.
Hey guys, I'm Zoe Monday. I was at the Media Communications degree program, and I'm now a graphic designer at Evil Geniuses.
My name is Matthew Potthoff. I am the GM and VP of Esports at eUnited, and also graduated Full Sail in 2013 with a bachelor's in entertainment business.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I think one of the things that we always get asked first out of the gate is like, what am I supposed to do for my first career, my first job in the esports world? Because there's, everybody, I want to do this. I want to be the GM of United. And that doesn't come right out the gate. So I would also love to know what your first gig in the industry was.
Actually, my last 4 months of Full Sail, I got to work with G Fuel, a energy drink company, and I engaged with people on social media for 4 months. I barely made any money, but it was good experience, and
Absolutely.
It was just an entry point for me to put something on my resume from a close friend that I was teammates with in the past. He worked his way up G Fuel and gave me my first shot.
First break, yeah.
Just to get something on my resume,
Absolutely.
yeah.
And Zoe, your story is a little bit different because you graduated in 2020, and was this your first gig in the industry?
Yes, it was. Technically the internship part of it. I graduated in 2020, like you said, and got a connection for the internship through Platinum, basically. And I was an intern for 3 or 4 months before I started full-time. But so aside from that, yeah, it's just been 2 years at Evil Geniuses for me.
Well, now I feel old. This is kind of a loaded question because in 2007, I didn't know what I wanted to do, whether it was games, film, or music, so I did all 3. I actually worked on some films. I was an on-air DJ for music, Metal Channel in actually Orlando. And then I was doing games, and Game Stuck. First gig was registration producer, or project manager, or something for Dice Summit out of California. So I got that gig and moved to LA.
So after I graduated, I'm also alumni here at Full Sail University.
You're all alumni.
Yes, we all alumni. After I graduated, my first gig was going back to my bachelor's school at North Carolina Wesleyan College and doing esports, being the director. So that was a blessing, I'm not going to lie.
Absolutely, and I think that's another cool kind of path. And you were on a panel this morning talking about starting your esports program at the school. What really does it take to build a program from the ground up at an institution?
First things first is community. You got to have a community. I'm telling you right now. Engagement with the community, and also laying out a foundation for whatever you're trying to do. So for me, obviously, it would be esports. We had to sit down, and I remember my senior year, we drew up a 5-year strategic plan on how we plan on growing the program. And when I sit back now, I'm like, wow, I really did that. But it helped me, and it prepared me for the future, which we are here today.
It's funny how fast time moves. When you think, oh, we're never going to get to this point, and then all of a sudden, 5 years later, here we are, and it's in action, and you're seeing it happen. It's a pretty cool experience. Justin, with your journey, you've spanned everything from DreamHack to South by Southwest, obviously at Sub Nation now. I mean, the list goes on of things that you've done, and it's really incredible. What does a day-to-day life look like for you in your career now?
No pressure. Okay, yeah. I mean, in all honesty, I've always been pretty active. When I was at South by Southwest, I was the founding producer of all the gaming stuff there for years. And at the same time, I was also handling a lot of this stuff. I was working for Devolver Digital, so I was on the publishing and the event side. And then after South by, I went to DreamHack, and then, Good Shepherd Entertainment. Now I'm with Sub Nation and Good Shepherd Entertainment. So I've always kind of wanted to be in multiple areas of the gaming industry so I could understand it. So anything from live events and digital events now, thanks to COVID the past couple of years. Right. To actually producing a game to market. So to give you, a synopsis, a breakdown of my life, I don't have one. Because whenever I'm done with that, I have a wife and kids, So.
Yep. Well, that's obviously an important part of this, is being able to do it all and still have the family to go home to, which is great. And, obviously, this industry, it takes a lot. There's a lot of work to be done, and it's a lot of dedication to get there. But when you're passionate about esports and gaming and this industry, I think it just really kind of bleeds together. Same thing for you. I mean, you've been doing this for almost your whole life. You have probably the most traditional kind of path into this industry, from pro gamer to GM and VP of esports. Tell us a little bit about that journey, starting off, winning a tournament while you were a student here at Full Sail that made it through the next kind of path of your life.
Yeah, so I was very fortunate to win a tournament near campus on my birthday. 4 months before graduating. It was a $25,000 tournament. Definitely helped, get through college and helped me with my finances a little bit. I moved back home to Missouri. I worked as an internet marketing consultant for 8 months, selling websites to lawyers. That was a lot of fun, I will tell you that. And traditionally, I just was doing that in the meantime until I could take the steps to gather a team and hopefully go pro. I placed top 5 at UMG Philadelphia for Call of Duty Ghost, and that led to my first contract. I lived in Atlanta for a year with my teammates. We traveled the world competing in Call of Duty Advanced Warfare and Call of Duty Ghost once again at the tail end of that. And then, long story short, my thumb stopped working, and I retired at the end of Black Ops 3, and then switched over to the management side a year later. So that's kind of the long-winded story, but I played for 16 different organizations, still have my jersey from every single one. I wish the pay was the same as it is now, but it is not. Sure. These kids are making way too much money, as I always say, but they do deserve it. It's very competitive. It's not an easy task to go pro, and these guys dedicate their lives to it.
Absolutely. And I think the other thing, too, that I get questions about a lot is, I'm not in esports, or I'm not great at the games, so I could never go pro. But what kind of avenues can I go into, that don't involve me having to be a top tier player? And Zoe, I think your journey so far has been really incredible, because you've been able to go into a place, use the skill set that you learned here at Full Sail, and really set a road for yourself in this industry. Would you talk to us a little bit about what it's like as a graphic designer, the type of things that you do, in your role at Evil Geniuses?
Totally. So for my background a little bit in esports, I'm really bad at games, and I completely avoided esports for that reason. I had to play Oblivion on God mode, kind of like bad at games. And so I felt that esports wasn't an avenue that I could go into just because I had very little interest from the competitive side of things. So it was very interesting when I got the opportunity and feeling like maybe I wasn't qualified to represent esports teams. But from our content team, there's actually, I would say, a lot of the people in the team don't play games pretty regularly, but it's just a matter of doing your research into the industry, and that helps considerably in making the content. So even if I don't catch the games regularly, I feel like connected with the fan base, and that helps. So in regards to design and what I do, if you follow Evil Geniuses or esports orgs in general, the sort of social content you see coming by is a lot of what I get to do, which is like the macro content help. So if that's just the static social graphics for, you know, matches that are coming out, or if it's like a big announcement, I can make the intro for the video or the outro, the lower thirds. There's a lot of print media that needs to happen. We have different departments that do live events. So if that's like making cards that they hand out or big banners, I get to work on that. Some of the little small things that are really fun, those like in-game sprays, like we have a Dota fan pack that comes out, and I get to make stuff that you can use in game and our players use at tournaments, which is really fun. So it's a large assortment of things, which is why it's super fun for me, because that's why I came to MCBS, because I just like making cool stuff, and it's like it gets me the opportunity to just play around with a whole bunch of different assets in a way that gives like joy to other people that are interested in gaming too. So
That's awesome. It would be so cool to make something and then it's in this game. You know, no big deal. Everybody's using it. You go to a match, they spray on the wall, and they're like, I made that. You know, that's awesome. So very cool. I think another area that doesn't get talked about as much, obviously more recently than before, but is the content side of things. And Chantoni, you're a content creator. I'm a content creator. You're on Twitch occasionally sometimes. You've definitely lurked in my chat before. So Tony, tell us about, you know, that side of things when it comes to, you know, streaming. And you were on the Varsity Armada stream team. We've all seen the video. It's one of my favorites. I know it's yours too, but tell us a little bit about that.
It was the greatest thing ever. But it's also a grind, and I tell people you really have to love it. It really is a grind. And I think once you start creating, you know, plans and goals for yourself and trying to figure out every step of the way how not to make mistakes by learning from people that have made the mistakes and telling you not to make the mistakes, it will definitely help you. It will definitely help you. But yeah, as far as content creating, I think just like how she said, the sky's the limit. I mean, you could do an OBS, Streamlabs, you could do anything you want, like anything. It's like a little movie, so to speak. You know, a live movie, like you can make your channel anything you want, display any content you want. So I loved it, man. And I especially loved it here. That's how we became close, man.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, the other cool thing, too, I think, is a question that we hear a lot. We get emails almost every couple of weeks is like, what is the thing that I could do to stand out when I'm trying to apply at places like EU United or EG? You know, what sort of things, when they come across your desk and you're looking at a new hire, stand out to you from a hiring standpoint?
This is actually counterintuitive to what you're asking, but we held interviews over Call of Duty Warzone.
I remember.
And we basically asked the interviewees questions while they had to play Warzone with us. So we're like in the middle of a 3 versus 3 match, and I'm pressuring them like, hey, so what are you going to do for United? And it's so hilarious because some people couldn't even talk to us. They were so focused on the game. I'm like, all right, you're out of here just for fun, you know. But I have had so many interns and junior positions at E United that have led to greater opportunities for so many individuals. And I think at its core, E United has been such a blessing for a ton of people that end up finding bigger opportunities later on, because we are still a smaller organization. We're not anywhere near EG or 100 Thieves or FaZe, but we pack a big punch for what we do.
I'm sure you guys came in second place at Raleigh. I'm just saying, you know.
But I have literally hired someone because they like anime. I'm like, okay, they're like, come on board and let's have some fun, talk about anime and work. And that's kind of the environment I like to promote. I just like to have fun. I trust people to do what they need to do. And I know that this completely counters
it's good.
the question, but it just shows our environment of picking people who really resonate with our brand and like to have fun.
Yeah, shout out to Danger, because he did win the Warzone interview thing, which was incredible to watch. But I don't know if he's in here or not. But anybody else want to jump in on that?
I'll take it back a little bit in a different direction. It's ironic because I actually just spoke to my kid the other day, and he's just like, what? I'm like, what do you want to do? What do you want to do? He's like, I want to, do something with Magic the Gathering. Oh, okay. Great. And that's fine. Obviously, I'm a big Magic the Gathering player myself too, but it's similar in this way, right? Think of it as a flow chart. You want esports, great. You made up your mind. Magic the Gathering, you made up your mind. Then what is that next step? Is that marketing? Is that a player? Is that PR? Is that business development? Is that graphic design, right? And then that's your second tier, right? And then you break it down from there, right? Step by step as you're progressing just through life in general. You made up your mind of the high-level approach, and then what's that second, and what's that third, what's that fourth breakdown? And that's kind of what I did. And when I told my 14-year-old that, he was like, "What the hell are you talking about?" But you guys would understand a little more as being older, But he's 14; he didn't really know. But it makes sense, it does really. And that's kind of how I found my path, because funny story, I have a recording arts degree because I thought I wanted to do music. And I still work with a lot of music artists for different things that I do. But I had a metal band, and I was like, I want to do music and all this other stuff. And I'm like, well, maybe I want to do games. Sat in and actually saw a C++ program. I'm like, nope, don't want to do games. But then I went back into games, ironically. So we never know what path we really follow. It's just by nature breaking it down in that flow, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's really part of the journey, too, is going through those different areas and those different paths that can lead you to a whole new place. For me, I was, playing music as well, and then I stopped doing that, and I found Twitch, and I started streaming, and I was like, hey, cool, video games on the internet. And then that led to the career that I have now. And if I hadn't made those steps and taken those risks, I wouldn't be doing this. And so that's something that I think is really important, is to find your passion, support it, do it in the ways that you can while you're doing something else, and then hopefully it aligns. We do have a microphone over here, I think, so we want to leave as much time for questions if you guys have them. So if anybody wants to jump on, ask a question, let us know. We'll be able to answer them for you, but we'll continue on as far as the panel is concerned. Zoe, with your program here at Full Sail, were you doing anything specific in regards to esports leading up to the job at Evil Geniuses?
It wasn't anything esports specific, but there were a lot of skill set stuff of things that I was just working on that immediately crossed over, which for me, I was working on a D&D live stream, which is very niche piece of content, I guess. But it ended up, I think it was a huge part of my portfolio when I applied, because it was, we had to promote it on social media, so I was making content for that. I had to work with a brand guide that we had made for the D&D stream. I made tons of stream overlays, stuff like that, and a lot of video content, and did some motion graphics work. So it was sort of a just these individual student portfolio pieces that I worked on kind of casually throughout school ended up being the key part of my portfolio that got me into the internship. So I always say that I think it's super important that when somebody stands up and asks for people to join their project, if they're looking for an editor or a designer, that you don't have to reach a certain threshold of that skill to go for those things, especially while you're here in university. because those are when you get to learn those skill sets. Like if I hadn't jumped up for this D&D live stream that another student proposed, that my portfolio would have been like half of what it was. And that was something that one of my students ran, and it was so influential for me. So I definitely encourage you to like embrace the projects that are around you from your fellow students, because that's going to be what really bolsters your portfolio for graduation.
Absolutely. So branch out a little bit. Get involved in as much as you can. Quinn, you're the brave person so far. What's your question for the panel?
Hey guys, first of all, I just want to thank you guys so much for coming out to talk to us. It means a lot. So I want to be in the esports business as a caster. And this has been a similar thing with every venture that I've tried to follow entrepreneurially, is I don't really know where to start and how to market myself necessarily. And I know this is a pretty broad question, but we kind of touched on it a little bit earlier, and I was wondering if you could give us any tips with regard to, marketing ourselves online and potentially getting work through that.
Anybody want to jump in?
Yeah, I don't mind taking a stab at this one. I am trying to reiterate an answer I might have given at the previous panel, so I'm not sure if you were at that one or not, but I'm going to try to spin it up. I have seen over and over and over again so many individuals in esports get hired through social media. And I will continue to say it at every panel that I'm at, because if you show passion for a specific organization or a group, and you continue to be professionally persistent, and you show your, not your portfolio, but basically what you can do, like even if it's just snippets of you getting extremely hype during a moment, and you send that to a Smash organizer or a Halo group or whoever it might be, whatever game you think is, that relates to you, usually good things end up happening, or it at least starts a conversation, or they consider you for a fill-in. If someone can't make it, things happen, and then they start giving opportunities to someone that showed passion. So that's just a small synopsis of what I've seen in esports.
I'd also say that nothing's ever going to be perfect. So when you're making your highlight reels and your demo reels, get it out there. I need to take that own advice for myself sometimes on stuff, because you'll spend hours and hours doing something and then it doesn't do anything, and then you spend 5 minutes to make a TikTok and it blows up. So it's super important to just get it out there, get that content out there, and then grow from it. Work, as that one did well, okay, well, let's spend a little bit more time. Let's take what we learned from the previous thing we did and then apply it to the next one and keep going.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you, Quinn. This is another good question I get from a lot of our varsity players, Matt, is, they may not be ready to put down the sticks yet and go into the industry. They want to keep going on after the pro side of things. What sort of advice would you give to aspiring pro players, to keep going as far as their competitive skills concerned?
I think, saying this in the most honest way possible, that you have to have honest, realistic expectations for yourself. For me, I've expressed this to many people. I went to bed every single night for years knowing I was going to go pro, because I was going to make the necessary sacrifices to do it. And that led to friendships being ruined because I wasn't hanging out with friends. That led to me skipping family meals to get extra scrims in. So it was a complete grind. But if you feel deep down that you have the natural talent to go pro, all you have to do is make up that extra time to start joining these open tournaments, getting some time on broadcast, hoping your play style gets picked up by other pros. And the most important advice is just having a good personality, being likable, being a good teammate, showing up on time for scrims, essentially giving 100% of your time. Because if you have the best player on your team that gives 100% and everyone else is given 80 or 90, they always leave. So just make sure that you're matching everyone else on your team, or being that standout player and setting the example for everybody else.
Awesome, yeah. And Justin, obviously a live event side of things. We're here in the Fortress. We just put on Hall of Game on Sunday. A lot goes into those events. A lot of times more than people know. For students or grads that are looking into getting to getting into like the live event production side of things, what sort of advice would you give someone that's going to come work on a live event in the world of gaming and esports?
Well, I have obviously besides skill set is important. Planning, proper organization, all that kind of normal stuff, right? But I have some very cliche sayings I'm going to turn on, like, I guess everyone, because everyone always hears it's who you know. Forget that. It's not who you know. It's who knows you, right? Forget everything you've ever heard about entertainment business, because I've dabbled in film and music too, right? I've never gotten anything off of who I knew. I was gotten everything off who knew me. So go network, go talk to people, volunteer, do everything you can to make sure people know your name. And then after that, show them that passion and drive and the desire to learn if you don't know yet. Because you can't teach someone passion and drive. I can teach you how to produce a worldwide huge show, but I cannot teach you to care about it. And so those are definitely important things, more than you think. Please remember that, because trust me, in 10 years, you'll see how much those two things made a world of difference. I know that's very cliche, but I'm turning some of the sayings on its head. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that goes for a lot of things. Even as you're a student now, let's say that you are in your first couple months here at Full Sail, there's always opportunities to get involved in esports and Armada. Definitely go to fullsailarmada.gg/tryout if you're looking for the teams, casting, stream team. If you just want to be involved, email us at fsarmada@fullsail.com. We do these types of things all the time, so there's always opportunity to get involved, volunteer, and put something on your resume, which is definitely kind of the goal for a lot of things, is being able to have that line on there that says, hey, I did this. When you get out, everyone's always talking about experience. Oh, you need to have this much experience. Let's start getting it now by getting involved, and it's usually pretty fun when you get to do these types of events. So, definitely don't be shy. As far as, Chantoni, starting your own program, you were part of Armada while you were here, and then you are going back to your school and working with students. What sort of things are you implementing to get them involved, to help build the possibilities for their career, at your university?
So one of the things that when I first started, before I came to Full Sail, I was wondering, how can I help students get the hands-on training and, replicate some of the things that people do. So when I came to Full Sail, it was just like, woo, I got it. And then I went back there, implemented. So a couple of young students came up to me when I came back, was like, hey, we want to do a news channel. So I'm like, oh, okay. I don't know nothing about it, but we're going to make it work. So that's what we do. And then I told them, you need to put this on your resume, because I tell them the biggest thing, and this is for all of us, like you just said, is job experience. So how are you going to counter that? You're going to counter that through your digital portfolio, your works in school, and a couple other projects that you do for other companies as well. Because, yeah, you might not have the work experience, but if they can see your work, then they can evaluate and be like, oh, okay, cool. They just need a chance. They need a shot. So, like with our program, we literally sit down and have a whole content program to say, okay, cool, we're doing a TV show, which we do have an improv show. That's kind of cool. It's coming out soon. Say doing that. But yeah, we just give them that hands-on training to help mold their creativity for the real world and things like that. So.
That's awesome, yeah. And that's definitely something that, you can think about too as a student here, is trying to do new things that are going to open your, kind of horizons up a little bit when it comes to the world of esports and careers. So we got another question over here.
All right, so I have two questions for Matt.
Awesome.
So my first question is, how do you deal with player burnout in general? Because for me, I played League of Legends for multiple years. I was sitting in Challenger for 3 years straight, had tryouts for teams and stuff, and then I kind of let go of the game after a while because I just didn't really care about it anymore. But I'm still interested in esports. So that's my first question. Okay. The second question is, now I kind of want to start my own esports organization kind of from the ground up. So do you have any advice on starting your own organization?
Sure. So I actually experienced player burnout as well. it led to me not playing Call of Duty for 4 months. I sat in my room and played Hearthstone every single day, and I was like, I am not playing Call of Duty anymore. I'm not thinking about spawns, looking at the mini-map, or shooting characters. I'm just going to play Hearthstone. See you later. Esports has grown. You have more resources now at organizations. You have mental health specialists. You have physical therapists. You have it's unbelievable what orgs are doing now. There's 3 things: drink a lot of water, take walks outside. Like, I was scrimming for 10 hours a day. I would wake up when my girlfriend was going to school, I was going to bed when my girlfriend was going to school at 6 in the morning, and she's like, "This is really unhealthy." I'm like, "Yeah, it's bad." But that was my way of grinding. We have such an element to gaming where we feel like we have to grind every second to get better. But reducing the practice and harnessing more of a mentality to give everything you have in a 6-hour or 4-hour time frame rather than giving 70% over a 9-hour time frame is what I've realized is really beneficial to my players. I enforce at least 1 day off, and some of them still choose to play. That's on them, but I enforce 1 day off. I hope that answers your question. So water, taking walks outside. If you have to, go to the gym and just walk on a treadmill. Just do something different. Get your head off of the game. For starting your own esports organization, it's extremely tough. I am fortunate that I am working underneath a CEO that is funding it. Funding an esports organization is extremely hard. The business model, in my opinion, is still being figured out. And a lot of our revenue depends on third parties and developers who might or do care about you. So, for example, we have aligned with a lot of developers who strategically work with eUnited, have great communication, potentially offer a digital skin in the game, and those types of factors lead to an actual business model where we're not throwing money at a wall in hopes that we just win a tournament and get 15 or 20 or 25% of whatever that contract is. So just make sure that you have that group behind you that really cares, is ready to burn for a little bit, and in hopes of, turning the esports venture into something that is promising. And just to touch on that again, like, you don't have to do full esports. You can go down the content creation route. There's so many different elements that are opening up in esports. It also just doesn't have to be competitive video games. There's so many different paths to take now.
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
No worries.
Yeah, I think that's a good point too, is that the world of esports is so broad now. Before it was kind of narrow. You had this and that, but with things like Twitch and YouTube growing as they have, obviously the pandemic, I think, played a part too. It brought it to a much wider audience. You're seeing things on ESPN, parents are talking about it. It really kind of opened the doors to a whole new world of avenues into the world of esports. But at the end of the day, I think the most important thing to think about is that esports is just like hockey and football and every other major sport. There is a whole business behind the players on the field that are making things happen, running the show, making it all come together. And without that, it wouldn't be a successful business. So I think it's important to remember that even if you're, hey, I'm into, marketing, but I love esports, there's a path. I'm into, I want to be an accountant, which I don't, but if you do, esports needs that too. So we've got another question from the audience. Go ahead.
Hello, thank you. My name is Kyle Robinson with Game Design. Forgive me, this may come off as a generic question, but what was the hardest part of your journey into the gaming industry, and maybe not necessarily your journey, but also like in the gaming industry, and what steps did you guys take to overcome those challenges?
It's a good question.
I'm old. No. Oh, God. So my first gig was in 2007. It was for Dice Summit. And I don't know if you're familiar with Dice Summit, but if you're not, you should be. Because one thing that I work with a lot is the developers on the esports side. I don't work with the players as much. I produce events, of course, but I really work with the games. I always joke around that saying, hey, you know what, I love Counter-Strike, but doing Counter-Strike tournament number 4,092 for the year is kind of getting stale, So I'm a big advocate of more like, how do we add more esports games, right? We're not thinking about that too much to the point of esports, right? People want to be players, but we need more esports developers, right? And how do we bring out those games? But fully transparent, I'm a very honest guy coming from Massachusetts, whether people like it or not. I took Dice Summit because I knew who I'd rub elbows with. Dice Summit is the Academy Awards of video games. What better opportunity for a guy leaving, market crashed in 2007. This is going to age me. I'm not that old. But market crashed in 2007, and I was actually, you'd be surprised, I was suit and tie, real estate, stock, finance guy, dealing with a lot of IP investment. So I didn't look like this. But did I want to rebuild in 2007, or did I want to do my own journey of the entertainment industry, which is where I go back to, I don't know what I wanted to do, music, film, or games. So I did all three at first. But I took Dice Summit because, to my point of who knows you rather than who you know, everyone learned who the hell I was first year, because Dice Summit, again, was the who's who. Happens every February, about 1,000 people, top executive CEOs, they all go to one place and hang out in Vegas. So I wanted the job to hang out with them. And ever since then, it was, I don't want to say easy, but ever since then, it was easier, Put yourself in a situation where you're forced for these people to know you. And then shine. That's it. Hope that helped.
Absolutely. No, thank you. For sure.
I think the other thing, too, is a lot of people tell you can't do it, or you're not going to be able to do it, or the comments in YouTube and Twitch or say you give up. Don't always read them, or read them and go, cool, and move on, Keep that positive nature in your head there. Unfortunately, there is some toxicity out there, but if you've got a path and a passion, that's what counts.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys.
Hi, what's your question?
So I have two questions. My first one is about content creation. My second one is more of being a player, like, gaming. So my first one is, how do you, make it as, if you want to do YouTube or stream? Because, it seems like by the time you realize what's gotten big, there's already big people on it. So it's kind of like, you want to grow, but, there's this game you love. You play it because you love it, but, it's not really making you grow. Now, so let's say I stream Valorant, right? And there's already big streamers. I realized there's a big game. Everybody's really hype about it. So I switched my content from Valorant to, let's say, let's say it's New World. Mm-hmm. Now, every big streamer that everybody already watches switches to New World. And it's like, it's a new game, so it's fresh. Everybody wants to watch it, but they're already watching their big people. Yep. So what do you really do about that?
Well, I'll jump on this one for sure. It's a constant struggle, and sometimes you have to choose whether you're going to try to chase it or you're going to do your own thing. And sometimes doing your own thing is the best route. But you can't just do your own thing and say, okay, I'm going to stream this game and play this game and stay here. And maybe catch the fallout of the people that wanted to watch that specific game that they don't want to watch New World, right? They want to watch Valorant, that's it. And that works, but I think the next part of that equation is what are you doing as a content creator to stand out from everyone else? And when you can figure that out and what it is that you do to make yourself unique and stand out from the crowd, it's not going to be overnight. It will be a slow increase. But if you start to see positive reactions to the things that you're doing, maybe you're adding more personality into your stream. Maybe there's other things that you're bringing in, bits, utilizing different green screens in cool ways that make it fun and entertaining. That's when you can start to see that growth. But a really good thing that you can do, and I do this all the time, is you just watch your stream after you do it, maybe the next day. And if there's parts in it that you're like, wow, that's really boring, Bennett. What are you doing? Write it down. maybe try this next time, do this part. And that way you can kind of go identify that, hey, these parts are things that I could grow in areas on, like from a content standpoint. So I would encourage that. It is a battle. Sometimes you make the right choice and go. I do this with Destiny all the time. That's the game that I built my community on, and shout out to Zerwatch. But like, it's one of those things where when a new game comes out that I want to play and everybody else is going to go play it, do I want to get buried in that, or do I stick here? And all the people that only want to watch Destiny, they can come and I can catch maybe some of those people to turn them into, continual viewers. So it is a challenge for sure. What was the second question?
I was going to chime in on that one, Bennett.
Yeah, go for it.
So this is funny. Even if you don't choose to go to another game, I think the engagement piece with your viewers. So for me, I have for 500 bits, I'll do a push-up. So in the middle of the game, like in a 2K game, whatever, they'll be like, hey, Tone, give me one. I'm like, bro, are we serious right now? But it keeps them engaged and make them want to watch and just make you do crazy stuff to entertain them and things like that. So obviously you don't got to do a push-up, but that's what me and my friends do. Or I have to be nice. Oh yeah, I act up that point because, I ain't nice. But, I had to be nice. And I'm like, oh, this, in Call of Duty or something like that. So trying to, find creative ways to use the bits or for, creativity.
Okay.
Can I also chime in?
Chime in, dude. Absolutely.
It's branching off of what Tony was saying. So I created the barnyard. That was my theme I'm from Missouri. People started calling me Barnes instead of Burns, which was really annoying, but I just went with it because you have to. And long story short, every time I got a sub, I took a cowbell and I just rang it. And I was living with my mom at the time. And she came downstairs at 3:30 in the morning one day while I'm on stream and completely almost just took my PC and Xbox and threw it out the window. But that moment on stream, as much as I love my mom, and she was, that created a mini viral moment in the Call of Duty scene, which then led to maybe 50 more viewers my next, stream. So it's, my cowbell was me doing something a little bit different to separate myself from all the other Call of Duty pros. It worked a little bit, but just like Tony doing push-ups midstream, you just got to try to find a way to do something a little bit different.
All right. And my next question. Now, I've had a few different groups of, people that play the same game as I do. And how do you really find people that are really, serious? I know every time I see, pro players, teams, esports teams, it's like they're already a family before they really, form. So, anytime I try to find, let's say Valorant, I'm going to mention Valorant a lot. That's just my main game. But it just doesn't seem when you first initially meet them, it's let's go. We can grind this. We're going to go crazy. And they kind of just fall off. Or, one thing or another. It just doesn't seem like people really take it serious. And I'm really trying to, grow as a Valorant player altogether. Mentally and, in game. So I'm just kind of and I've reached that point in Valorant. Everybody knows, if you play Valorant, it's a certain point where you can't just solo queue anymore.
Right.
And I think that's a lot of games. I heard the same thing about League. I've reached that point.
Okay.
So I'm trying to get past that point.
So the question would be, what sort of things could you do to meet other players that are high or higher level to play games with?
They really take it serious.
I can sum this up for you very, very quickly. You are always going to find toxic teammates or people who aren't going to give you 100%. This is just a matter of gaming. There's still people who are getting paid a salary that show up late to scrims sometimes. And of course, those people do usually end up getting fined or let go or dropped as time comes. So as long as you stay true to yourself and you continue to show that you're someone that takes it serious, commits yourself to your teammates and to your vision, things will eventually work out. you can't save all of your teammates. Like, if they want to jump off the boat, they're going to jump off the boat, and you'll be the one they're watching on the main stage 5 years later. That's kind of the way I look at it. So just keep doing your thing and try to find those people. They are out there, but sometimes they're super toxic teammates, but they're so good at the game where it's like, I need this toxic guy on my team because he's so good. But then later on, when you keep getting better and better and better, that guy, you end up getting really good, and then that guy might get dropped, per se. So, best answer I can give you.
I end up getting like those bottom frag brimstones or something that are going like 2 and 10, and I'm up there like 40 and this specific game I was 40 and 13, and second place didn't even have 15 kills. So and they were trash talking the whole time, and I don't know. The game after that I did terrible. It's hard letting stuff like that, I don't know. It affects my gameplay mentally.
Yeah, for sure. I would say try to look for maybe some Discord servers that are more on the competitive side of things. I'm sure there's other websites, that are posting tournaments, eFuse, different places like that, that you may be able to find some other competitive players that are looking to, compete at that level and are going to take things a little bit more serious.
Okay.
Awesome. Thank you for your question.
Thank you.
Hey, how's it going?
Pretty good. How are you?
Doing great. What's your question today?
Yeah, so we talked about player burnout earlier, but I want to talk about more so just burnout for like the other side of that for you guys, because I am interviewing Thursday for a position at a entertainment company that does like cinematics for video games, and it's my first foray into like the industry. And so like I'm getting like anxious and nervous about like, because this is like what I want to do with my career. And so I'm wondering for you guys, how do you keep it going, and like what is your, like how do you stay motivated and creative enough to, still like go to work the next day, and how to, just drive through it?
Did you go to my therapy session? Again, going with the whole transparency thing, if you know my background, I just recently resigned from VP of DreamHack. So I was running DreamHack, creating content, doing events, all that kind of stuff. And I've been in the event space from Dice Summit to South by to DreamHack for years. You come to a point where, it's not an ego thing. You just can do it blindfolded, right? You could do an E3, you could do a PAX, you could do a DreamHack, you could do all these events just blindfolded. And it doesn't matter if you do them in Germany or anything like that. I had one thing we were actually going to do in Iraq, and I was like, oh, that's interesting, but it's the same thing, And so I left DreamHack for SubNation, which is where I'm at now. And the reason was, I guess, burnout to some way, right? I wasn't growing. And I want to grow. I've learned these things. I've conquered these things. I'm not challenged anymore. I've taught my staff to be better than me as a leader. That's what I should be doing. So where do I go to learn and grow myself and contribute to me personally and professionally, and build the next generation of staff? That takes the job from me later, right? That's what leaders do. They train their replacements. That's what good leaders do. I'm sorry. Good leaders. So I left to SubNation, and I won't go into a plug for SubNation, but long story short, now we're this agency gaming lifestyle brand, and I'm working on Atari hotels. We're going to break ground in Atari hotels in multiple locations. We're designing a Shark Tank for video game season 1. To be put out there to platforms. And then I'm also still doing some events, but now I'm diversifying my portfolio and growing and challenging, and feeling that fresh new challenge, right? And we have a ton more things coming in regards to the Web3 space and all these other things that I'm learning, but now I feel a little more fulfilled, So it's very, very, very real that will happen one day, but luckily you're new to this space, so it's not going to happen to you yet.
For sure.
But if you're not feeling growth, there's a problem.
I actually want to add to that, because it's been 2 years and I feel like I've reached creative burnout a little bit already. So it's very relevant to me, because I feel like that's been my biggest challenge so far, which is that when you have project after project, that you come out of feeling disappointed, and then that just like ruins your motivation to keep learning, especially when you've just come out of university, where you, in a large way, you have the opportunity to dedicate the time that you want to it, while when you go into the organization, it's suddenly like there's deadlines you have to meet, and they have their expectations, and you just kind of have to work with that. And sometimes that means like you can't learn a new skill for every project and make it feel like this brand new thing that provided something to you directly. So going one project after another, and then you feel like they all feel the same and you haven't learned a new thing, that's like really hard when you first go into it, because you really know you have a lot to learn, and if you don't feel like you're learning, it's suddenly like, maybe this isn't the industry for me. And I learned pretty quickly that for me, it was just all about picking my battles and working with my managers to help me understand what battles should I be picking, and finding out that I was just trying to overdo every single project because I love working on them and I want to do them all in this like way that I feel is really cool. But you just can't do that for every single project. So it's quickly learning to work with your managers to say, hey, how like important is this piece? Do I just need to check off these boxes for you because it's more important that it gets out on time? Or can I like go ham on this? Can I like spend an extra day to learn this new tool that I wanted so that I can provide like my own motivation and satisfaction for this project? So that's been relevant for me recently, because like I really want to do something in 3D and I don't have time to learn 3D. So, deprioritizing some projects and knowing that these ones are for me as well as everyone else, and spending a lot of time on them has been helpful.
Thank you so much.
Awesome, thank you.
One thing I'll add really quick, I'll leave you with this, is so many people think about the company they represent and loyalty to that brand. And I am a very, very loyal man, so I do too. But not enough people think about the true brand that they actually really have, which is their name. If you are not growing, and if you are not teaching yourself more and more every day, what's the point, right? Because at the end of the day, you'll go through 20 different jobs in your life, maybe 5, I don't know, maybe you're awesome and you're at one job for your whole life, hey, that's, but you have your name at the end of it, right? So I'll be damned if I'm gonna sour my name for a company, so I'm always gonna grow. So, FYI.
Sweet, thank you so much, appreciate it.
So we've got about 6 minutes left, so we're gonna do a speed round of questions here. Go ahead.
Okay, well, now you just said speed round. I had a huge one, so start.
Oh, no. Set it on.
Yeah, but it's going to be a long one. Name's Keenan Britt. I do film, but I also do graphic design. I edit, and I'm a commentator or caster, if that's the proper word. All right. So before I got to Full Sail, I do graphic design for a lot of tournaments, and I also do overlays for Premiere, After Effects, and I send it to streamers, and I just do a lot of this collaborate stuff. And when I moved down here to Florida, I started casting for locals around me. I've actually been to 3, and luckily I also got to go to CEO, which is one of those biggest tournaments to cast too. And I just feel like my foot is on the door. I hear chips of it coming off, but I feel like there's some hinges that are just, not for going down. Because I feel like I'm doing, I'm stretching myself out. I'm doing multiple stuff, but at the same time, it's just my footing isn't quite there yet. I feel like I'm growing every day, don't get me wrong. I also stream too to get my name out there a little bit more. Social media, obviously you need that. But it's just how do I reflect on myself to actually get the key points of where things are not going a little bit forward?
What games do you cast?
Oh, Smash.
Smash?
Oh yeah, I forgot to mention. I also play for Full Sail, the Smash team, Armada.
Hey.
We're gonna talk in the lobby after this.
Oh, for real?
Yeah.
You're about to see me in the back alley, please. Yeah, I also want to do casting for Armada, so that's probably another thing.
Exactly.
But yeah, that's just a question I have.
It's tough. Sometimes you feel like you're breaking in, and I think every one of us on the stage has been there. It was going good, we're here, and then it just doesn't work out. I would say that probably the best advice is to keep going and try a different avenue, try a different way into that door. If you feel like your foot's in there and it's open a little bit, there's still opportunity. Keep doing what you're doing, keep creating content, keep casting, finding ways to improve yourself. Watching other casters and getting more involved in other events. If you're doing casting for these 3 here, let's find some more around the area. Come cast for Armada. We need more casters all the time. So there's always ways to be involved.
Okay. Yeah, I guess that's it.
Awesome. Thank you.
I can't beat that. But I just want to know, how'd you guys my name's Alex. I'm in cybersecurity, but I want to be an esports player in Valorant. And I feel like I've been to multiple tournaments. Like, I didn't have any back at home, but in Orlando, for sure, there's a lot. And I feel like I'm there. I could do it, but it's just sometimes it's not even my parents, but sometimes I be feeling like I want to give up, which I try not to, and I try to push myself even harder. But sometimes I have those days where I don't even want to touch the game. I just be like, dude, it's because once you're on the Immortal leaderboard, and I'm guessing it's the same for Call of Duty too, because you said you had a Burnout. But how did you know? I had the passion. I've always had the passion. I've been watching players since I was a kid, but I mean, I just don't want to give up. And how do you get past that?
Oh man, I can't say my road to going pro was easy by any means. I took money from my grandparents. They loaned me. I didn't take it. I was loaned money to pay for my travel to my first 2 events. I would carpool with people to go to tournaments just to get some experience. It's really just a constant grind. For me, I went to events for a long time. I placed 17th, top 24, 17th, then 11th, and 11th. And over time, it's just luck, timing, the right teammates, RNG in the freaking game, depending on throwing a random nade here. Or there's so many different factors that come into play. But more or less, it's just really about honing your own skills and continuing to play at a level where you feel confident that you can play at the top, and just keep that mindset going. Once again, if you're feeling down on yourself, take breaks. Figure out a way to do other things that contribute to your longevity in gaming, which is eating healthy, drinking a lot of water, not drinking 4 energy drinks a day, and just trying to prevent yourself from having that massive burnout moment.
Awesome. Thank you. We got time for one more, and then we will be in the lobby. We can ask some other questions as well. Alpha, what do you got for us?
What's going on, everybody? Tony, by the way, you owe me a push-up for them bits because I never got my push-up. So anyway,
do you want to do it on stage?
We'll do it after. We'll do it after. It's okay. But
he should do it now.
I think he should do it now.
I think he should do it now.
You want to do it now?
For the stream,
go ahead and do
Tony,
it now.
Let's go. Love it. Let's get it.
There it is. All right. It's been 3 months, so.
I feel like it's the first push-up on this stage.
I think half of them missed it. You need to do it.
Arms don't work like they used to before.
My question is, it's just for a lot of content creators, streamers, esports players, just anybody in the esports, really. A lot of people ask their favorite streamers or players, how do I make it into the esports scene? And a lot of them say, you got to build your brand. What does that mean for for everybody? Because a lot of people are saying okay, build my brand, but where do I start? How do I do it? I stream, I make content, but how is that making yourself into a brand?
I think what people don't know is learn marketing and advertising, because you got to get your content in front of the right people. That's the number one thing I tell people. I know we ain't all rich because I was in college. I was broke, but set aside a little money to, like I said, put it into advertising to get your content out to the right people. And then if you have your logo on whatever, post on social media and all that good stuff.
Username. Only one, just across the board, do it all the same. So many people have 3 to 4. Well, I'm this on this platform. I'm this on this platform. I'm this on this platform, and I'm this on this platform. Well, what's your gamer tag? Oh, it's Bennett. You know, like make them all the same. Some I understand you have to pay to change, but that goes a long way. Just starting that brand with whatever that gamer tag is a huge, huge deal. Do it on Twitter, do it on Twitch, do it on YouTube. Make them all the same. Make it easy for people to find you. You know.
I'm gonna agree with Bennett. I didn't before my name was Chantoni. It was Leroy Jenkins 8. If anybody play, yes, sir, yeah. But I had it was Leroy Jenkins, and it was another name on Instagram. It was another name on this. And then when I sat down, I laid down on the floor, not the bed, and I was like, I need one username. And then obviously that's how Too Toxic Tony came about. But he's right. He's 110% right. Make one username, so all you gotta be like is, hey, yeah, my username is, Too Toxic Tony on all platforms. Easy. You ain't gotta look for it. Yeah.
I wanted to add some like general notes on branding. If in terms of like where you start, like even with your username, I would say I would start before that with what are your values and like what do you stand for, what you want your community to look like, and then all of the rest of the elements in your brand can come back to that. So in terms of like people have their logos and their stream overlays and what kind of like emotes they have in their chat all comes back to your values, because that's what's going to set you apart from everyone else is who you are as a person. So if you want like a community that's very competitive, well then you can maybe just like all of your brand elements can have this like heavy esports look to it, and like it's like maybe more masculine, very energetic and sharp, like your logo would be have all those features, and then you can have like the emotes that are more relevant to the esports community, right? Or versus like you look at a VTuber, right? It's a very different feel to their brand because they have different values. They want their community to reflect a totally different thing back onto them. So start with like what makes you, what you want your community to think of as you, and then you could make your username about that too, and then it would all connect back to it.
And the last thing,
last thought from Tony.
Giving the audience and the people something. So like giveaways, for me, I went through a lot of giveaways and people gave me a lot of stuff. So I'm like, yo, what he giving away this time? Money? You feel me? Subs? Like, what we doing? So, if it's not obviously gift cards or whatever, like give them a little like email or something like that. Make them feel special. And then they'll keep coming back because obviously you thought about them and you wanted to build that relationship.
Awesome.
All right, thank you.
Thank you guys so much for coming today. Again, we're going to be out in the lobby answering any other questions that you may have. But thank you guys for joining us. Thank you for our panelists. Enjoy the rest of Hall of Fame week. We will see you later. Thank you.